Every letter will be capitalized. Now look at your signature. Driver's license. Pull it out of your wallet. Look at it. Read the name just above your address. It will be printed in all capital text. Every letter will be capitalized. Now look at your signature on the bottom. You have one capital letter. You cursively write your first name. You have your initial in capital, and you will have a capital letter, and you will have cursively written your last name in lowercase. Do you know what that means? That means that if you want a driver's license, you will comply and conform with the corporate codes of the state, and that your capital name represents you to the corporation of the state. You have just entered into agreement with your signature to give up your sovereign national rights. You have agreed that your corporate entity, your all-cap name, will comply with the speed limits and the turn signals and have all your lights in order, and you will make sure that your vehicle is exactly the way they tell you it's going to be, and you will commune with registration and license on your vehicle, and you will register your vehicle to the corporation of the state, and the corporation of the state will take wardship over that asset. And as long as you follow all the rules and you pay your taxes and you pay for your registration every year, they will allow you to travel. So think about it very quick. Think about it. Pull your wallet out. Get your freaking driver's license out. Every single one of you in America, all your names are written in text in all capital letters. Every one of you has signed your name that you are, but you don't sign in all capital letters. So that driver's license does not represent you. The all caps does with the corporate entity and the contract you entered into with the state. You gave up your rights under the Constitution of the United States and agree to abide by the maritime law. Stop doing it. They don't tell you this, but you can go down to your Department of Motor Vehicles or wherever, your driver's license bureau, whatever they call it in your state, and upon demand, you go in and ask them for a rescindment of your driver's license and your registration, and that you do not operate that vehicle under commercial law, under commercial reasons, and you're not getting paid to transport that vehicle. That places you back under your little signature down here and your right to travel. You can do that. You've been brainwashed to believe you can't. As soon as you register that vehicle, you are registering that vehicle as a commercial vehicle, a business license. That's what your registration is. It's a business license to operate that vehicle because you are getting paid to do it under UCC 1207, the Universal Commercial Codes of Maritime. Look it up. Call me crazy. Look it up yourself.
Hi Karen, maiden voyage today of this new electric bike, and it saved an hour off the time. I made it in just under an hour. I had to keep stopping because the heart's going over 120. then of course I get out of breath. But I enjoyed the journey. The seat is a lot more comfortable. I can ride it as a conventional bike on the flat ground, and coming back I don't need to use the power at all. I only had it, it's got 3 settings. I can have it on high, medium or low, so I've gone between medium and low, and there's times when I've been switching it off and just pedalling. So that worked well. The day started, it was pouring with rain, and it was that sheet rain that looks like a net curtain going across, almost like coming horizontal. It's like an umbrella's not even going to help here. And it's so what do? We visualize I'm back from Monchique with the supplies that I need, and next thing it stops raining, and it's like, right, I'm going for it. So I went up there, got the phone charged, because I was down to 8% and I didn't have any battery power for the radio, and I thought, well, I'll take the phone with me and get that charged while I'm there. I sort of sat there all day, had a meal there, and got the few things I needed and came back. And I avoided the rain on both ways, because it did rain while I was there, but I was undercover, so it didn't worry me. Now, to turn the tables, or to flip the script, because this comes to what I've said recently in video, it's about going back to source. So it's contacting with the higher self, which gives you that direct access to source, and you realise you are part of source. You're an individualised aspect, and it will all be shown to you, and this reality makes perfect sense. Now, the reason you've got all these toxic things in foods is it's not to kill people off. It is to keep the numbers down to a certain degree, but the main reason for this is to keep people in low vibration, because it stops them spiritually growing, it stops them opening up. But they're fighting as there are more and more people questioning different things. They may not have the whole picture, but they're starting to think, this doesn't, but this is a spiritual evolution, and it is not meant for everybody. In the same way, if you plant seeds, they're not all going to grow. It's down to terms and conditions. If the soil, then the seed will take. And then you have to have a thinning out of seeds. Say something like lettuce, where you put the seeds in rows and then they're too close together, so you weed out the ones that have not grown so well and you leave the bigger ones and then transplant them. That's exactly the same thing that is happening spiritually in this reality. By its very nature, it's got an Achilles heel to it. The way to get through this is to just be fearless. Don't worry where the money's coming from, just be in that flow state and know that it is coming. You create the future in your mind, and this, we're in an interactive computer game effectively, so whatever you create through to that, the external will conform to the vibration that you're on. So if you're in high vibration and stay in high vibration, these physical bodies are basically like a battery. So it's about having a positive charge, being positive, not love and light. All mustn't look at the darkness. It's weighing up the two, seeing both sides of things, but it is about being positive in oneself. Everything in this reality is finite, so the very sort of medium of energetic vampirism, it's going to take an awful lot more energy. In the same way as if you go on a diet of celery, it's going to use more energy than any goodness you're going to get out of the celery. So that this is the same thing. It's basically AI, or working through AI, and it's keeping everybody in a low vibration because it's easy to digest their energy when they're in negative state. If you start shining too brightly, it takes an awful lot of energy to try and it is working with a finite source. So it will give up and it will go to another easy target, because there's millions of easy targets for it to choose from, so it'll leave you alone. As long as you're fearless and stay positive about things, then nothing can actually harm you at all. There's coming an opening, a doorway, fairly soon, where we'll be able to walk out of this reality and enter the positive version, of which this is a shadow negative copy. It's a carbon copy of something that is real. It's the way it is here because it's contained, because it's a diagnostic zone. It is for testing things out so they don't spill out and cause real chaos. Yes, it does seem very real because it's meant to seem very real. We're plugged in through our nervous system. It's not that far off what it shows in the Matrix films, where Neo wakes up and unplugs all these pipes from his back. It is very much like that, energetically speaking. But there isn't anything that can actually harm you. I'm going to be making a series of videos on showing some very surprising things that are actually good, but seem the complete opposite. Things like depression, panic attacks, and anxiety. A stroke is another one. That is the body telling on the mind. It's saying, basically what it says in the Bible, cast your nets on the other side. So you're paralyzed down one side of the body because it's saying move over to the right, because it's generally the left side of the body that is powered on the configuration of the brain of the individual. See, all I got is a bit of tingling in the thumb and the index finger. It's like pins and needles, but that's it. But what's happening to me is I'm synchronizing with the pulse of this reality, and it's well within the range that the human heart is capable of. It's nowhere near, it's no danger. But it is about synchronization. It's about the harmonics of the vibration being in unison. It's getting into a flow state. This all gets revealed when you go back to source. I'm not saying as a perfected being, because we'd be having this conversation telepathically. Because everything in this reality, in this material reality, is based on something spiritual. And it's played out in a very material form. But it's not original. It's a copy, and everything in this reality is a copy. What you've effectively got in this reality is an actors guild, and they're not very good actors, and they don't like being criticised when you point out their bullshit. And actors can be politicians, priests, scientists, any sort of authority figure that people will latch onto. Oh, I'm a professor at this university. It's like, that doesn't count for jack shit. Ultimately, it's that saying that God is no respecter of persons, because that is all connected to the persona, the false identity that we're encouraged to be, which we're not. I mean, how many people can really answer the question, who are you, if they're asked that? They come out with a name and they say what their occupation is, but that doesn't tell you who they truly are. The only way to find that is to go back to source. That saying, seek the kingdom within and all will be given to you, and I can testify that that is true, because you realise that there is nothing you don't already know. And it's nothing to do with silly things like the height of Tower Bridge or something like that. It's about the spiritual truths. And out of it, you just get to see why everything that seems negative in this reality actually does make sense. You see, because these retarded spirits of this reality, they're happy with what they've got. They don't want to progress. They want to hold on to the power. This is their world. And they want to maintain that, and they will fight to the death to maintain it, because that's all they've got. They've got nothing else, because they're basically soulless beings. They have no empathy. In acting on it, being in fear state, they're feeding it. That's why COVID-19 was a good thing. That's why 9/11 was such a good thing. That might sound quite bizarre to say, but they're actually positive things once you see it from the immortal perspective, not from the mortal perspective. But this reality is made to look real. It's meant to be convincing. But there comes a point where you can step back from it and think, hold on a minute, I'm actually walking in two worlds here. Want to use that as a video, do so, or if you want me to say it again as a video commentary, then I can do that as well. But everything external is a reflection. Look at the famous Robert Oppenheimer atomic bomb and consider, why does that look like a mushroom and why does it look like a brain? Look at the way the explosive energy that goes outward will then fold back in on itself. There's a lot in that, but that's a copy of something spiritual that's been turned into something very destructive, because it also generates an awful lot of fear. It doesn't matter if atomic bombs are real, it's the outplay of it and what people believe from the stories they're told. Because why is it Chernobyl is supposed to be such a no-go area, and well, how do we explain Japan? How come Nagasaki and that have got people there, and Japan has been quite a miracle of industrial advance and technology advance, considering they were the side that lost in the Second World War, but same as Germany, look how well they've done. There's a reason why these places are targeted, and that is all intrinsically linked to it. There is a missing ingredient that is so subtle, called the folk soul. I'm going to be talking about this in a series of videos that will lead up to this and answer the question of why there are so few geniuses alive today compared to the 19th century and the 18th century, because it is the folk soul element that is the key that produces geniuses. Anyway, I'm going to stop there.